Hello folks, welcome to another video. So today we are going to talk about SQL injection. So SQL injection is a vulnerability that exists inside some input box or something. So whenever you are injecting SQL queries, the backend server does not know that you are injecting SQL queries and thinking that it's a data. It will actually process it, and which in turn will produce an SQL query that will result in modifications or some other things in the database. So this is the actual definition of SQL queries. So they'll be kind of using the input box to manipulate SQL queries to run into the web application database. So the reason why it actually occurs is because whenever the input is not properly sanitized, what happens is you are able to actually inject SQL queries. So let's see how SQL injection works. So whenever you see an input box and you're putting some format, and let's say that the username is the one you are putting as input. Let's say ABCD is the username, and what it does is it is actually processing that ABCD to look into a table in backend of a database. And what happens is if it's actually constructed into a query, that can result in some kind of other modifications as well. So we're going to see it practically. How does SQL injection works? And we have a kind of a control setup from which is metasploitable to as backend. And SQL injection, we'll be going to do it inside Kali Linux with the front-end Firefox browser. So we'll see how it works. So this is one of the vulnerable queries. You can see that whenever you are having $user and password as $pass, so if it's directly looking into the table, what actually happens is it is able to kind of let's say that you are putting some other things inside. Let's say that I'm putting like closing bracket and something else I'm putting and constructing another query, and the rest of the things I have commented it. So what happens is it will be actually injected as a query. You can see that whenever I'm injecting this into the database, you will see that it's actually constructing a query like this. So let's see how it actually works going forward. So this is one of the classical injection techniques that we do, just in case we wanted to make sure that if it's SQL injection vulnerable or not. What we do is we put a apostrophe or 1 equal to 1. So 1 equal to 1 always turns out to be true. So what happens is this will actually execute whatever you are giving, because it's always or and 1 equal to 1. So when always true comes in an or, it the whole thing turns into true. So that's how it works. Sometimes you are also able to kind of do like union based SQL injections also. And blind SQL injection is something that is something related to that you're not saying what the output is, but still you are trying to do something like SQL injection. That's what blind SQL injection means. The next one is time based SQL injection. So let's say that you are not saying anything. Like let's say that you are not saying anything in the front end that what is the result of your query. So what I'll do is I'll put apostrophe or if 1 equal to 1. So if it turns out to be true, then sleep for 5 seconds. That means if this turns out to be true, the response or some other thing that happens will be delayed for 5 seconds. Then I'll know that it's a true. If it's a false, it will like at the same second it will actually give me the results. So that's what time based SQL injection means. So out of band SQL injection is nothing but uh, the whenever you are kind of running a query and want to export a data, so you can export it via like DNS also or HTTP or other channels you can like kind of export. So you if you are kind of going out of band from SQL to that of like DNS or HTTP, then it's called SQL injection. So let's see like how we can prevent this kind of SQL injection. So like when we're giving a predetermined statements rather than kind of dynamic statements, I think that will be kind of one way. Another way is using stored procedures, because stored procedures will kind of not allow these kind of query modifications. Always do input validation and sanitization so we can kind of avoid malicious inputs, and give some least privilege to the database users so that they are not able to execute some kind of malicious queries. and having some web application firewall that looks for requests related to SQL, like SQL injection, and identify it. So this is something like a penetration testing report. If you guys want to have a template, please take a look at this. So let's just go in and we'll see how SQL injection works. So the backend I have set up is like Metasploitable 2, and the front end is Kali Linux. I'm just using the Firefox browser to just see how we can do it. So let's start with something like classic. We'll try to do some kind of classic injection and we'll see what is the result, and based on that we'll try to do the rest of the stuff. So this is a classical injection, so I'm going to submit. Let's see what is the result for this. So it seems that if you want to kind of test it from low to high, always modify the DBWEA security. So modifying this security will be kind of high security means it's very much highly protected. So in those kind of instances you will not be kind of able to do much. Let's do it here. So I'm modifying it to low level, and we'll go to the SQL injection part. So here once again I'll just copy the input I have done. And let's submit it. So this is just a classical injection technique, and you can see with this low level of security I am able to find everything here. So I am able to find the admin username and admin share name, what are the users here. So everything is kind of visible for me. So this is how we actually do it. So let's do some other payloads that will be kind of injecting more complicated stuff. So let's try to find database versions. So these are all like payloads that we can use in these kind of instances. If you guys want, I will kind of share it to you. So let's see what kind of version it is. So this one didn't work. So let's try something else. So let's try to kind of get all the tables. So there is another tool that we can use to do this kind of activity, which is called SQL map. So I'll be shortly putting that video for you guys to see how SQL map can be used to kind of like doing SQL injection. So that is much easier than the manual version, because the SQL map has all the tools necessary to first check it for something related to SQL vulnerability. Also it will be kind of able to do everything required. So this is not working, so we have to try different payloads, and based on trial and error we'll be kind of able to get what we want. So let's try something else. Let's try this one, union based select. So in order to understand this, guys, I think we might need like prior understanding on like how databases work, or just how a small SQL query is constructed. I think that is sufficient in order to understand this. So this is how we kind of do, guys. So I'll also kind of go through like how we can utilize an SQL map to do this stuff. So we'll be kind of going through that, and this is how we do a penetration testing report. So we start with the SQL injection vulnerability report and give an executive summary and vulnerability details, what is the vulnerability that is happening and the payload used and what is the impact of it. Steps to reproduce we have to give, because that's how they will know that this vulnerability exists, and the recommendations that we can give. So that's it for today, guys. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll be coming again with another video. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next video.